So in Halo 3, there is a glitch called the Davinci Towers that, if done correctly, you can turn the towers in the mission The Covenant into pseudo Easter eggs. But in order to change these towers into a completely different, awesome skin texture, you have to trick the game a lot. And so far, I've only seen people be able to take one specific tower and turn it into a Davinci Tower. So can I unlock the hidden Davinci Tower? Let's give it a shot! So to give you a little bit of history on why exactly these are called the Davinci Towers, well, it's pretty simple. The movie The Da Vinci Code with Nicolas Cage came out the year before Halo 3 was released. The naming is solely due to the texturing that's on the inside of these towers when activated out of their normal load zones. So naturally, most people being young adults or kids when they were playing this turned it into a whole thing. The secret of the Davinci Towers solved! The real explanation for why these towers get this weird texturing is this is actually the untextured default for the game. So when the game doesn't have a predefined loading texture, it defaults to this beautiful color Easter egg pattern. Now, in the time that I've been playing Halo, I've only ever seen videos of people getting one of these towers to do this untextured model. This is done by time traveling and manipulating the game's loading zones to activate one sooner or later than you should. But my goal was to turn the first tower on this mission into an Easter egg tower. But because I've never seen anybody do this before, I was going to have to figure out how to do this all by myself. And my first idea? Well, if I could somehow get to the load zone on the mountain past the second tower where the Hornet battle is, I might just be able to pull this off. But I'd have to somehow find a way to do this from the very beginning of the mission. And the specific spot on the mountain to hit the load zone? Well, it's really far away. To make things worse, there are barriers everywhere around the first part of this mission preventing you from getting outside of the map. But I had an idea. If I could somehow get outside of the map on the first part of the mission, my plan was to use a piece of equipment called a deployable cover to launch to this loading zone. So our first step in this was obtaining a deployable cover. Luckily, the brutes in the second section just before you entered the first tower dropped them pretty regularly. Bam.
You're a predator. You're a predator, dude.
Dude, not now.
Well, then when?
After picking up the deployable cover from one of the brutes on the Prowler, I then needed to take a ghost back to the very beginning of the mission to break the map barrier. But in order to do this, we would need at least 2 players. One player would need to stay near the natural cliff just outside of the first tower where you come in from the valley. In order to break the map barrier, we both need the first section loaded and this section loaded, and the only way to do that is by having one player in each section. After taking the ghost through the beginning section past where you spawn, you need to go up this rock and then head to the snowy patch at the top of the hill. If done quickly enough, your ghost will get sandwiched between an elastic barrier and the ground. If you get out of it, you will have broken the map barrier if done successfully. From here, you then need to grenade your ghost outside of the elastic map barrier so that it doesn't get sucked back into the map when you get in it. Well, when I did it the first time, I didn't have the ghost far enough outside of the map barrier. Then, when I was doing this the second time, I realized that I was missing the most important skull of all, the tilt skull. This skull basically makes vehicles invincible, and we would need this ghost for later, so it wasn't optional to have it destroyed. At least I figured that out quick. After another 10 minutes of getting this set up, I was ready to break the map barrier once again, but this time with a tilt skull enabled. Now that we had broken out of the first map barrier, we still weren't out of the woods yet. We had another map barrier to break in order to be able to reach the area where the load zone is later. But breaking the second map barrier is way more treacherous, as you will find. When your ghost is outside of the map barrier, basically you need to take it up this mountain cliff to where the rock arch overhang is. From here, we need to ramp our ghost onto this cliff face and quickly boost to the left. If done successfully, you will be able to get on the upper ledge that's snowy. If not successful, we have to restart and get this set up again because there is no checkpoint. Let me try this one more time.
I'm smoking crack.
Oh my gosh, I can't do it, I suck. So after failing to get on this cliffside with the ghost twice, I decided it was a good idea to send my brother forward to get a checkpoint before I attempted this.
I am the predator.
after what seemed like forever because my brother, for whatever reason, was using a beam rifle to clear out all the enemies, including vehicles, I had a checkpoint and I was ready to repeat these attempts over and over.
Alright, time for me to retire. I
So
don't
I need
like
to get my ghost all the way over to this edge. You need enough momentum to swing over, kind of like that, but I didn't make it.
That person. Ridiculous.
There we go. Oh, finally. Okay. So now that we've broken out of the second part, we now need to break out of the elastic barrier on this part so we can walk around. You have to boost your ghost in between these two cliff faces where they make a V, but you have to do it in a very specific manner or else it doesn't work. And it's pretty touchy. I need to break this elastic barrier. Come on, let me out. Oh, I got out finally. Jeez. I can't go down the mountain that way or else I'll get sucked back into the map and I won't be able to walk over there. So what I need to do is deployable cover launch from here to over there without dying. And I'm going to need you, Alex, to get me another checkpoint. You can go into the next section, I believe. So to get to this load point, my plan was to deployable cover launch across this canyon to get to the mountaintop. This would be above the map barrier outside and would enable me to potentially walk all the way to that loading zone. Oh wait, yeah, go back to the first section again. So pretty much immediately I realized we had a problem. In order to activate the checkpoint, you need to go in the area and clear out all the enemies near the first tower. But doing so deloads the first part of the mission, which means it's not even possible to get to the load zone because it doesn't exist. Because of this, I had to send my brother back in the map to load the first part of the mission. From here, I then checked to see if I could somehow navigate to the load zone by going around this cliff face. As you might expect, once I got closer towards the tower and closer to the top of the map barrier, I was faced with elastic barriers pretty much everywhere. I think I need to be on top of that damn hill. So I spent quite a bit of time getting this all set up again, but I was doing things a little bit differently this time. I was going to try to deployable cover launch to the top of that mountain that I just walked around. But in order to do that, I needed to have one player set up just outside of the load zone for the first part of the mission, right about where these dead trees are. So the reason that I ended the game earlier is because I wanted to get one player just outside this load zone so that I could successfully deployable cover to the mountaintop. But also, I booted up a laptop and had a third player join this game so they could get the checkpoint that's triggered by killing all the enemies in the first room in the first tower. Otherwise, the second player would have to drive back to this load zone from the inside of that room every single time. And that would be about 25 seconds per attempt. But anyways, it took about 35 minutes to get this all set up again with the appropriate checkpoints and everything in place. Now, I just needed to land it. So in order to successfully deployable cover launch, you have to be throwing the deployable cover just as you start to fall after jumping. Then, once you get stuck on the shield, if you go quickly enough forward, but slow enough so you're not going full speed, you'll eject out of the deployable cover from your player model and the deployable cover textures colliding. Models colliding? But there's one very important thing in deployable cover launching. You need to have a relatively flat-ish surface to launch on. Come on. If you weren't aware, the deployable cover actually extends into the ground. So if you're not on a flattish surface, it's really hard to do this consistently. Okay, what we need to do is we all need to die a bunch of times in a row now. Okay, are you ready to do that?
Yep.
So, in almost 15 minutes of doing this, those 2 attempts that I launched were the closest that I had come to landing on top of this rock. At this rate, I might be able to pull this off by the end of the decade. So for this reason, I had every player in this lobby kill themselves 5 times in a row. This automatically reverts us back 1 checkpoint, and I can set up in a better place. For whatever reason, the positioning on top of the rock that I had was not enabling me to ever launch out of this with any consistency. Okay, perfect. Now we don't have to reset the entire mission. I got another checkpoint atop this rock, but I found out very quickly this was not an optimal spot. I tested another spot and I actually had some luck with it. This was despite the surface being slanted. Well,
Yep.
I had to walk a few feet every single time, which wasn't ideal, but I finally had a legitimate attempt at trying to get atop this rock. Holy shit, I'm going way too far. Oh. Damn it, I just missed it. Come on. Oh my gosh, I bounced so high, I think I might die. Almost landed at the far mountains.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, come on, just to the top. Oh, I splattered. Ooh, so close. Ooh, don't bounce too far, dude. I bounced so freaking far.
Oh.
Come on. Hit the tower? Oh. At this point, I was starting to get frustrated with this. We had spent over an hour on the setup just to get a good deployable cover launch, and I was at the hour mark of deployable cover launching. Because I had already invested so much time into this, I wasn't ready to give up quite yet, but I was getting close. I was getting really close to landing on top of this mountain, but I was also getting pretty close to giving up. The amount of good attempts you see are few and far between, and I had already been so close but died every single time. Regardless, I decided to give this a few more minutes. I bounced and then I bounced over the cliff.
you hit it.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can. So after about 2.5 hours, I decided to call it quits. I had come so close to landing on that hilltop so many times, but I just couldn't do it. And I was about to give up any hopes of turning the first tower on the Covenant into an Easter egg tower, Davinci Tower, whatever you want to call it. But I realized I didn't really check to see if I could truly navigate to this loading zone on foot. If that were the case, this would be a really simple solution to be able to turn that first tower into a Davinci Tower. But I didn't know if this was possible. And if it was, that would mean that all of my deployable cover launching was just a giant waste of time. There we go. I think I got the formula now. Can I just straight up drive over here? Oh. I don't even need to break the barrier. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to try to find a way to get to the load zone that happens later in the mission on this cliffside. But I'm not yet sure how to do that. Because this cliff is really weird. So pretty quickly I found out I was able to navigate to the second tower using just the ghost. Now I would need to find a route in order to be able to jump to the load zone on the side of the cliff, but this time without a vehicle. I navigated past the second tower and saw the cliff face where the loading zone was and saw something I liked. It looked like there was a ledge that you could hop onto. I would just need to make the jump. Then if I could hit the load point, I would know that this is actually possible. Okay, I finally hit the loading zone. I didn't need to do all that deployable cover garbage for hours. That was a total waste of time. So while I was at this load zone, I had another pretty big problem. I needed a second player to go back to the beginning of the mission to see if this worked. When you go to the second tower, the other players automatically load onto you. I was trying to do a simple grenade jump to get onto the second tower to navigate back with my second player. But then I died, which meant I would need to restart this because there's no way to get back to the beginning of the mission if both players are on the load zone cliff. Well, that player just died and I don't know how I'm going to get back there now. I died from one frag grenade. So, you guessed it, I had to set this all up again. Except this time, on my descent with the ghost, I left it on the lower ledge so that I could boost back up this hill later. Instead of using myself to hit the load point, I used the second player to go activate this. After the second player was on their designated cliff to hit the load zone, I found I couldn't boost up the rock wall on one side of the second tower. So I got a little jiggy with it and figured out how to get to the cliff side on the other side. And it turned out this actually worked. I was in business. All I would need to do is walk to that first tower. Bam! Okay, if I can just navigate my way back into the map, I think I'll pull this off. Okay, perfect. Shit's not even loaded anymore. It's beautiful though. There it is. It's all glitched out. Let me show you. See that? So in order to get an up-close look at this tower, we need to get a little bit outside of the map. To do this, you just need a grenade jump by the shade turret to get on the first tower. From here, you can basically walk all the way up until you're high enough on the tower that you can jump off the side of the cliff. An invisible elastic barrier will catch you and you'll be able to navigate all the way up to the top here. Check it out. You can see the different numbers and stuff. Letters, numbers. Very cool stuff. I really love this texturing. It's one of my favorite Easter eggs / glitches, whatever the hell. Whoa. Dude, the detailing in this is insane. Okay, if you drop down here, you'll always hit an elastic barrier. And then you just gotta float over to this rock. Getting out of this is super, super simple. A lot of people know about this. This is like the most famous time travel glitch in all of Halo 3. Is that overlapping now? Never mind. It's not. So now that we've successfully figured out how to activate the first tower on the mission The Covenant into a Davinci Tower, we need to quickly do the second. Now this one is a lot easier. Basically, if you get out of the map how I did earlier, you can go to this tower, and if you touch a spot near the beginning of it, you will be teleported into the second section of the mission. From here, you just need to go to the back of the tower against the map barrier. Then all you have to do is walk all the way over to the third tower and hit a specific load zone. Once you drop down the cliff by the base of the third tower, you'll automatically activate this and the Davinci Tower will spawn in. From here, you then just need to die and spawn on your second player, who, by the way, I would recommend having them stand by the second tower so they don't have to walk all the way back. But after you do this, a duplicate of the second tower will spawn with the Davinci skin. You can actually physically touch this tower in this Davinci code. This is the best view of it in the entire game, though. Pretty freaking sweet, dude. It spawns, actually, it spawns the second tower twice. So that's the second tower, but this is also the second tower. This is one of my favorite glitches of all time. It's so cool. I remember seeing this in somebody's file share, them just taking a picture with them in the background was this, and I was like, how the hell did they do that? I wondered for years. I was like, I have no idea how they did that. From this point, you can have a second player head just behind you and hit the load zone that activates the first part of the mission. From here, you will then be teleported to this part, and the second tower will be there as well, but it will be on ground level so you can check out the whole thing. I'm going to try to show you it in the second part of the mission, though. Now, if you're doing this, just know that the person that hits the load zone will be stuck under the map and won't be able to shoot, beat down, throw grenades, or anything else. They will be truly stuck and won't be able to see this. They need to walk generally in this area along this map barrier. Uh-oh. So, I made this mistake the first time and had to reset this entire thing. I'm not going to make you watch that because we're 25 minutes into this video, but here's me doing it successfully. Boom. Now you can see the fourth tower. You can see how the positions of the two maps actually don't line up really at all. This tower is, however, not solid. see. Let's get a closer look. Let's get a closer look. Okay, where am I about to fall off a cliff here? Nowhere. Okay. But if you do this, you can stand in the inside of the Davinci Tower. They call it Davinci because it's like an Easter egg, but it's really just the alphabet. I like Davinci personally. Anytime I think of like this color grading, I think of the Davinci Easter egg. It's so awesome, dude. I just want everything to be this color. Look, this tower is big, though. If you want to get some perspective, I mean, it goes all the way from the bottom of the rocks, outcropping to almost the top. Oh, here, I have acrophobia. Forget it, because I usually never play with it on. Oh, even the underside's textured. That's cool. Well, not textured, I guess, because this is their not textured default.